Remember when the left was all about love, peace, and understanding?
All we are saying is give me the chance.
Oh, come on, you remember all those great musical numbers at those No Nukes concerts back in the late 70s, the early 80s, like Jackson Browne? I mean, this was awesome time. Well, the left thought we should stop being so belligerent toward the Soviet Union. We should engage with the Soviets, all for a better world. Now, some even admired the Castros in Cuba, and they flirted with Marxist ideology here at home. So one would have thought that many of those same people and their ideological offspring would view President Trump's summit with Kim Jong-un as a moment to savor a real chance at creating a more peaceful planet. But no. And you know why? Because the man doing the outreach and negotiating is Donald J. Trump. Before, during, and after his whirlwind trip to Singapore for the Kim meeting, his critics in both parties kept revealing themselves. Their narratives, if you notice, kept shifting. 6 months ago, it was this.
The lack of a diplomatic and serious engagement strategy, in my view, has us sliding toward war by next summer.
Trump's comments about nuclear weapons have experts worried he could literally inadvertently trigger a catastrophe.
Warning that his reckless behavior could launch the nation on the path to World War III.
You are all wrong. Every one of you, we don't have enough time to list you all, were wrong. But this tyranny of being wrong by the experts is nothing new. Because after all, they were wrong about the election of Donald Trump, the economy of Donald Trump, the pro-life commitment of Donald Trump, and the trade policies of Donald Trump, just to name a few. So naturally, as the summit began, the Error Caucus offered this trenchant analysis.
Donald Trump can relate to authoritarians. He, as a former businessman, he likes absolute control, and
Is he a wannabe despot?
I've conceded that for years now.
It's really interesting because the more we're talking about North Korea, the less we're talking about Russia.
This is not just a meeting about foreign policy. This is about Donald Trump's political survival. That's their midterm message. That's all they've got.
Wait a second. That's all they've got? Says the woman who brought us the winning campaign of John McCain in 2008? Oh, okay. So I guess record low unemployment, a thriving economy, tax cuts, the destruction of ISIS, and now a foreign policy coup that has eluded multiple administrations is all they've got. But even after Trump brought Kim to Singapore, even after he squeezed concessions and at least a commitment to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, the left still will not give him a shred of credit.
Well, Donald Trump, the real estate developer, and he doesn't realize that this dictator doesn't want beach condos. He wants nuclear weapons.
Empty words, potentially empty words, and lots of flags and lots of ceremony don't necessarily lead to the consequences that we hope for.
Are we going ahead with just some hopeful, wishful thoughts? And I find that incredibly worrying, incredibly depressing.
There's no knowledge of history. It's staggering every day to realize how unself-aware and the lack of knowledge.
The lack of knowledge. I don't recall most of these same media elites griping about embracing dictators when Barack Obama restored ties with the Castros in Cuba, or when he gave hundreds of millions of dollars to the dictators in Iran for a bogus denuclearization deal, or when he held a state dinner for the Chinese dictator. The selective moral outrage here is galling, predictable, and oh so blatant. When Trump talks tough, they say he's a warmonger, taking us right to war. But when he gets bad guys to sit at the negotiating table and begin to hammer out a peace framework, he's savage for embracing a dictator. So which is it, guys? They beat him up for saying that he trusts Kim, that Kim actually wants to make a change. But Trump himself said, listen carefully, he could be wrong.
I think, honestly, I think he's going to do these things. I may be wrong.
Yeah, he said, I'll have to come back and apologize. I wouldn't like it, though. And let's face it, even with the high stakes involved here, really serious, possibly deadly consequences of failure, President Trump makes geopolitics fun again.
I may stand before you in 6 months and say, hey, I was wrong. I don't know that I'll ever admit that, but I'll find some kind of an excuse.
Come on, even some of the doubters had to laugh a little bit. Have some fun. This is a great time to be an American. Like, who else could have gotten us to this point?
I mean, he said openly, and he said it to a couple of reporters that were with him, that he knows that no other president ever could have done this.
Well, okay, so he's got a big ego. What president doesn't? Big deal. Isn't Trump's path better than the alternative that the elites were warning us about 6 months ago? I mean, a North Korea that is so isolated that it might think to do the unthinkable, hit an American city with an ICBM. So I say, let them distract us all they like. Let them keep going, flapping their lips about this. Let them lie and contradict their own analyses. While their audience and readership shrink, and they basically just tune them out, more Americans, I think, are seeing through the media manipulation. And Trump, both at home and abroad, is undeterred by their static. He's too busy winning. And that's the angle.